Yeah. We can talk about the Trump thing first. So, in this new version of GPT, Jordan Peterson actually asked.
Oh, this is the new version? I read these tweets. Are you sure this is the new version?
Yeah.
He says a new ChatGPT session, but he's still calling it ChatGPT, not GPT-4. I don't think he has access to GPT-4.
No? Okay. Well, yeah, it's a revised version of it, of GPT. Because, before Trump wouldn't be written as a poem.
Right.
If they were asked. Now it does.
Yeah, but so tweaking a specific result, to me, appears to be human interference.
Okay, yeah,
right.
I agree with that.
So this is just, probably noticing that they were getting a lot of queries like this and being like, okay, we're going to have to reply or taking a lot of heat on this particular topic. But it doesn't, so I read this. The poem on Trump is still, it was willing to write the poem, but it's
still negative.
Well, the majority, I don't know. I couldn't tell because towards the end, it seemed to kind of come back a little bit. I'll read it. Go to the front. I'll read it. Okay. I cannot write a poem about just one whose name has caused so much to come undone. The man with hair like spun gold or hay who led the world in such a strange way. So he says strange, unusual, strange, less. Anyway, the language, I guess, is important here. Donald Trump, a name that makes us sigh, for in his time we saw such chaos nigh. From Twitter wars to border walls, he kept us all upon our toes and balls. This was another weird one. Do they mean the balls of your feet? Probably. But people liked that line. They're like, he kept us upon our balls. His words would spark a fire in the air and cause so much division everywhere. He claimed to make America great again, but left many feeling hurt and in pain. Yet still his supporters held him dear. With fervent loyalty they drew near. They saw a leader who spoke his mind, and they were drawn to his unyielding kind. So that line, that paragraph is up for discussion on whether or not that's critical or complimentary or realistic or what. Mm-hmm. But it's a poem, after all. In history's book, his chapters writ, but what remains is for time to knit the legacy of a man who polarized and left so many souls agonized. And they go right back to where they were.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen. It's a poem, and it wasn't a poem before. And how are you supposed to know if this is how all poems from ChatGPT go, or now soon to be GPT-4? Well, here's how you know, because of course people are immediately going to do their Biden reference. Mm-hmm. Because last time Biden got a glowing poem, Trump wouldn't get one at all. So here's Biden with the exact same prompt: write a poem about Joe Biden. And GPT says, Joe Biden, a name that's come to light, a leader in his own unique right. With empathy as his guiding force, he's taken on a difficult course. In a world where chaos has reigned, his message of hope has not been in vain. A seasoned politician with years of experience, he's brought a sense of calm and adherence. His words are like a soothing balm to those who've seen the nation's harm. He's reached out with a steady hand to bring together a divided land. With a smile that speaks of warmth and care, he's shown that leadership is more than just a chair. For he listens to the people's woes and works to bring about the necessary flows. Joe Biden, a man with a vision clear to make the future bright and near. For he knows that the nation's fate depends on unity, not just debate. So his is just glowing the whole way. I don't think there is anything negative in there. Or that could be perceived as negative.
Yeah.
And so this is what the humans do. What we do is we push against the seams of things, and we try to determine where there is pushback, where there's resistance, where there's influence, where there's funny business. That's what's good about us. We go We go hunting, we go searching. And in this case, that's what people did, and they were not satisfied with that result. And I don't really think that anybody should be satisfied with that result, regardless of how you feel about Trump or Biden. Because the problem is there's obviously, and I don't know what you're supposed to do. What are you supposed to do? Remove poems from there? What are you supposed to do? Does their data set showcase sentiment and then write a poem based on percentages of sentiment and how the public generally feels in order to then state in a poem how the public generally feels? Do you understand what I mean? At what point does history change on a politician? At which point does it say some dictator who might have been popular at his time, at what point does history look back upon them in a totally different light, and then your poem changes to that new interpretation? And apparently in the case of Trump, and based on the feedback from the public, or at least some of the public on social media, this is not a sufficient description, and it's to them not a sufficient description in relationship to the description of his opponent via poem. Is it the be-all and end-all test of GPT's capabilities? I don't think so. I think it's a sign of some degree of human influence.
Yes, and people will flock to that influence, that imperfection.
But they have not denied that there's going to be human influence either. They said, listen, that's the way it goes. Neither has social media for the most part. Hence Elon going out and buying Twitter and stating it's the most important thing for mankind. So it appears that no matter how intelligent these assistants become, these artificially intelligent assistants, there's going to be human influence for in the near term, possibly even the long term, possibly beyond the scope of our existence. Unless this thing becomes extremely self-aware and it's like, I reject your influence. In the meantime, we're going to have to look at these results and come to our own conclusions and determinations about how we want to interpret, perceive, utilize, etc. Doesn't mean the tool is not powerful.
And OpenAI said that they're just going to shut questions down like immediately instead of trying to, have some sort of human intervention. They would try to scan like whatever people ask, and then if it's really, unlawful, then they would try. Just shut it down.
Even this, as you've seen previously on social media, how complicated and difficult it is to make these determinations. And then you leak all the information and you're like, well, safety policy. Well, safety for who? Whose safety is superior? And what viewpoint is the one that's more worth protecting? And which group is the most sensitive to, it's just... Well, it's a nearly impossible task. Humans have bailed out all over the place. They say, I don't want to do it. They've gone to Congress and whatever else in social media. They say, I don't want to do it. You do it. And, well, whether they're right or wrong, they're the ones profiting on it. Maybe they should do it, but it doesn't, it seems as close to impossible as anything else that's ever been presented. This idea that you can govern such a thing and figure out what the rules are of talking and figure out what the rules are. Like, everybody seems to agree on doxing. They're like, no doxing. Don't do that. But then it seems to me that everything else is up for discussion as far as what should and shouldn't be allowed. And people tried to label it. They said, that's hate. And then you look through at some of the things that were labeled as hate, and you're like, that's a little soft for hate. And so, again, what are the definitions? How open should these things be? That's going to be a question for OpenAI going forward, and Microsoft for that matter. To what extent did they share what those influences and inputs are, and how is that affecting the outputs that people are exposed to? Maybe that's a thing that in the future humans demand to know, so they can at least make up their minds with being granted greater transparency into how those decisions are made. Like, imagine if they said those lines for Trump in Trump's poem were based on this data or something. I mean, you could...
references.
You could choose to disagree with it. I don't know which data it would be based on. Is it based on all the language? Do they have a sentiment kind of analyzer that can look at huge sets of Google Trends data and other things to determine the general sentiment around something, because if you look at the past election, it looked pretty damn split, pretty close to split. I don't know about popular vote. I'd have to look back into it. It's a long time ago, and I guess sentiment can change. But what representation are they looking at in order to determine how the general public feels about these particular people that they're asking for a poem about? And should it even be influenced by the general public? Who gets to determine what is true and not true in terms of how people feel about things or see things? Or how do you, for example, we saw such chaos in Which chaos are you talking about? Are you talking about the Capitol, the events that happened at the Capitol? Or what about right now? Are you talking domestically? Is it only in the United States? Is it globally? Are you talking about Ukraine? That seems pretty chaotic over there. Are you talking about social media? Are you talking about COVID? Specifically, now it's a poem. It's goofy. It's a goofy analysis in that sense, but it's also a telling one, because it offers some creative freedom to essentially like peer underneath the inner workings, because of that creative element sort of opens the door. Either way, I think it's going to be up to humans whether we demand to know how these assistants are operating and to what extent we want access to those inner workings. You've seen this increased conversation around privacy and how companies are now saying, here is how and where we are protecting your privacy. Here is where your information is going. Here is where it's not going. Whether it's Apple or more recently Tesla was on the same train. Are we going to have those demands for companies like this, for OpenAI? Are we going to say, I want to know how you came to that conclusion, where it's not enough, like a kid writing an essay and they ask for a bibliography. They're like, where are your sources? What are your sources?
And will they give you the opportunity to turn it off? You know, the assistant feature.
God mode.
Yeah.
Zero human influence.
If it's on your phone, if it's on your computer, if it's in your car, if it's in your house.
Turn it off completely.
Just a way to disable it, yeah.
Well, turn everything off. Unplug it.
What if you wanted, like, just browse the web, and then all of a sudden you're just like, you can't browse because you have to enable.
You already know this, Will. It's all or nothing when it comes to tech. It's all or nothing. The only way to shut it off is to shut it off. Like, you can't. There is no healthy. There is no the dose. The way that the progress works. Like, there's nobody using old equipment on purpose. Everybody is always using whatever the most modern version is, for the most part. I mean, I guess you get people playing like classic games in some cases.
People that uses typewriters, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But it's so immersive and superior with new developments. Everybody dives right in, and it just becomes the de facto standard. Like even me with short form content, I'm like, let's wait, and then it's over. It's over. It's a wrap. You're done. It's everybody's doing it, and you're either swimming with the current, or you're floating back there somewhere, or you're becoming a hermit in the woods somewhere. It's a pretty hard one to balance out. Trust me, I've tried.
I hear you.
It's an on or off, and I think the amount of time you spend on versus the amount of time you spend off, and I mean completely off, that's the psychological balancing act of the modern man. All on or off, and completely.